All right. Welcome everyone to the first poetry workshop of the 10th annual Jack's Poetry Fest, sponsored by Hope at Hand. Every April, Hope at Hand partners with a consortium of poets, cultural institutions, art agencies, and poetry enthusiasts to celebrate National Poetry Month with this special festival of poetry. Hope at Hand is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides art and poetry sessions to vulnerable and at-risk youth populations. Using poetry, creativity, art, and therapeutic approaches, they facilitate healing and personal growth for children and adolescents. Today, the first of 13 virtual poetry workshops this month being hosted by Hope at Hand during Jack's Poetry Month. Today's workshop is about the metaphorical poem by Shutta Crum. Shutta Crum is an award-winning poet and children's book writer. She is a Robinson Jeffers Tour House Honorary Poet 2024. More than 150 of her poems have appeared in journals. A pushcart nominee, she is the recipient of 9 Royal Poem Literary Awards and has 3 chapbooks in print, as well as 3 novels and 15 children's books. She publishes the Wordsmith's Playground newsletter. And with that, Shutta, I'm going to let you take the workshop away.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. Thank you, everybody who are here. We may have more people coming in. As I said, we were sold out at 75, but a lot of people sign up and then don't come. So we'll see what we end up with. But I want to get started pretty quickly because I've done this workshop live several times at different conferences, but never on Zoom. So I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take us. And I want to go pretty quickly through the slides so that we have time to do some writing near the end. And I'm sure we'll have time for that, but I'd like to have time for some of us to share what we come up with as well. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Let me get that up. Okay, good. Oh, let me go back one. There we are, Jack's Poetry Fest. Can you all see that? Just nod your head. Yeah. Okay, great. All righty. I'm going to kind of minimize you guys over to the side so you don't get in my way of looking at the slides. All right. If you've taken my metaphor program before, I'm at one of the conferences. I do apologize because a lot of the material is the same, but if you haven't, or that'll be new to you. So let's go. All right, we're going to be talking about the metaphorical poem. So let's start out with a couple of definitions. We're going to talk about metaphor and simile, but mostly about metaphor. Simile, a lot of this stuff you guys know from, middle school and high school, but it's how it's employed, of course, that's so critical. But simile is something that's almost equal to something else. It compares two unique things that possess at least one thing together. It uses words like or as to make that comparison. We'll look at some examples of this in a minute. Metaphor is more direct. It's saying that A is B. It's equal to B. It's a figure of speech that describes an object or action in a way that isn't literally true, but helps to explain that idea or make that comparison a little easier to understand. And of course, all of that is toward the goal of communicating precisely. So here are a couple of simile examples. Oh, I want to mention that there are other ways to compare and contrast as well. Of course, there are analogies, allusions, personification, all of that. But these two are in particular are powerful and important because they're in our everyday lives. I mean, The economy suggests, the economy can't suggest anything, but it's always there. It's on our news and our books, and it's around us all the time. And that's why they're so important to take a good close look at. Okay, so some examples of similes. I love the Mary Stewart one from Nine Coaches Waiting. He was driving like a careful insult. Now, I'm not sure exactly how that was, but it really stops me in my track and think, okay, all right. And I love the one from Everything Sad is True by Daniel Nayeri. The houses were unmarked and sat in rows of tense neighborhoods like uncracked knuckles. Wow. That is when he's talking about how the committee, with the committee people lived in Iran, but you can just feel the tenseness in that simile. Just wonderful. Now, some metaphor examples, and there are lots of these. Uh, Martin Luther King, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. So A equals B. Faith is taking that first step. All the world's a stage, famous one from Shakespeare. I'm looking at my notes here to the side just to make sure I have covered everything I want to cover on each one of these. One of my favorites, though, that I don't have in the slide is from Sylvia Plath's poem Daddy. She describes her father as, quote, marble heavy, a bag full of God. Oh my gosh, what a strong and powerful metaphor. So you can see how powerful metaphors can be. Similes can be powerful too, because what they both do is create this picture in your head. And that's why they're so important in our writing. Here's a simile I forgot to mention that I like. This is from Raymond Chandler. I drove back to Hollywood feeling like a short length of chewed string. I mean, it's wonderful. A short length of chewed string. Wow. And here's these things are found everywhere, nonfiction as well. Here's one from a book about parenting by Chaim Janot. Children are like wet cement. Whatever falls on them makes an impression. A wonderful simile there as well. And you can see that both have painted pictures in our minds. All right, let's go. Now there are different kinds of metaphors. So let's look at a couple of examples. First of all, there's what we call dead metaphors, the usual ones that are overused all the time, the things like couch potato, night owl, late bloomer, all of those things that have been used so many times, they're not fresh anymore. But so we're not, we don't want to go down that path. But let's look at some other kinds of metaphors. Implied metaphor. An implied metaphor is one that compares two things without mentioning one of the things. So if you said it made his hackles rise, or she barked orders all day long, you're comparing both those people to dogs without ever mentioning the word dog. But we get the implication. So that's what an implied metaphor does. Now, it's interesting because if you're a haikuist and you write haiku or haiku-like poems, often implied metaphors are like the basis of that. You get the haiku, but then you have to work just a little bit to understand what it's implying. Here's a haiku by Jane Reinhold that I particularly like. It goes like this. Ancestors, the wild plum blooms again. Isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful, but what are we implying? The wild plum that bloomed once before was wild, and now, from your ancestors, now you've got kids or relatives who are just like they. We say, oh, Johnny is just like grandpa, just as wild as grandpa. So the wild plum has bloomed again in the new generation. It's a beautiful implied metaphor. But with haiku, you often have to work a little bit to get to the implication. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Extended metaphors. These are ones that I particularly like as well. It's just a metaphor that gets extended beyond, that looks at the comparison from several different ways. Okay, so that can just be a couple of lines, it can be a whole poem. And I'm going to read you a whole poem now, which is an extended metaphor. So it really goes into depth about the metaphor. When you say A equals B, it explores that relationship from several perspectives. It just dives deeper into it. So here's a poem by Alan Dugan called Love Song, I and Thou. Nothing is plumb, level, or square. The studs are bowed, the joists are shaky by nature. No piece fits any other piece without a gap or pinch, and bent nails dance all over the surfacing like maggots. By Christ, I am no carpenter. I built the roof for myself, the walls for myself, the floors for myself, and got hung up in it myself. I danced with a purple thumb at this housewarming, drunk with my prime whiskey rage. Oh, I spat rage's nails into the frame up of my work. It held. It settled plumb, level, solid, square, and true for that one great moment. Then it screamed and went on through, skewing as wrong the other way. God damned it. This is hell, but I planned it and I will live in it until it kills me. I can nail my left palm to the left hand cross piece, but I can't do everything myself. I need a hand to nail the right, a help, a love, a you, a wife. Oh my God, what a strong, strong poem. I'm coming back so I can see all of you for just a second. Wow. Now, building a house is often equated to building a marriage. And he's built this marriage, and God dang it, he's going to live in it till it kills him, even if he sacrifices himself on the structure of it. He needs his wife to help him sacrifice himself, but he's built it, he's going to stay there. So he's explored that whole metaphor of a house as a life, a house as a marriage, all the way through the whole poem. Very strong. Okay, let me get back to my sharing here. I got back to you guys. Let me get back. Whoop. Sorry about that. Get back there. Where? Hang on a second. Oh, there I am. Okay. So, um, those are implied and extended metaphors. So let's look at a couple other types. The mixed metaphor is one in which two different metaphors are combined that are completely incompatible. Now, if you remember the old show All in the Family with Archie Bunker, he did this quite a lot. Usually it's done as a basis for humor. It can be done, sarcastically too, but you don't want to do it by accident, is the whole thing. One of my favorite ones, though, was in a speech by Ronald Reagan. He once said, "The ship of state is sailing the wrong way up a one-way street." So you got to think about that for a second. I just go, what? So anyway, Archie Bunker did this a lot, and for comedic effect. You can do it, on purpose if you're writing a character and you want to get at that character's zaniness or the way they're thinking, then certainly it's appropriate to do a mixed metaphor. But just make sure you know you're doing it on purpose with intention. Visual metaphors, I don't have a picture of one here, but we all know what that is. It's a metaphor that compares one thing to a visual image. So you see this a lot, a whole lot, in car commercials, right? You see beautiful women standing next to a car. You see tigers and leopards and or cheetahs, things that go fast, by a car. That's a visual metaphor. So it's comparing one thing to another. You drive this car, you'll be sexy. You drive this car, you'll go fast, whatever. So you know what those are. Okay. Here's a couple of the mixed metaphors I thought were kind of fun. Um, she grabbed the bull by the horns of the dilemma. And this one, particularly like this one, someone trying to describe a mixed metaphor. A mixed metaphor is like killing two birds without a paddle. So you can see that if you want to use those, do it with intention. Okay, so now let's look at what actually makes a metaphor work. All right. Um, One of the things is originality. A lot of those I was sharing with you were very original. The bag full of God. Oh my goodness. How specific, how riveting that metaphor is, or feeling like chewed string, you know, very original. Here's another one I like. This one was said by Representative Devin Nunes about when Congress was trying to avoid a shutdown one year. He said, "They're lemmings in suicide vests." Appropriate and original, very original. I love that as well. Um, Now, the other thing is clarity. It needs to be quickly understood. I don't mean it needs to be simple. What I mean is once your reader, once you've given them that metaphor and your reader reads it, it needs to go, the reader, when they understand it, need to go, oh yeah, that's right. Or I know exactly how that feels, feeling like chewed string. So it needs to hit with clarity in the mind of your reader. A little light goes off. Um, Sometimes this is a little more difficult, as I said, with haiku. So let me read another well-known haiku to you, and you'll see what I mean. It makes sense I often call it jumping the gap with haiku. You have to jump into the piece and spend a little energy understanding. You have to make the energy to make that jump and understand what's going on. So here's a haiku by James Hackett. Deep within the stream, the huge fish lie motionless, facing the current. Okay, I'll read it again. Deep within the stream, the huge fish lie motionless, facing the current. Okay, it's a beautiful haiku about fish in the deep stream facing the current. But what's the comparison there? What's the implied metaphor? When you think about it, you think these are big fish, they're old fish, they've lived a long time. They are facing what is coming at them. They are not running away from it. They've they've been able to face and stay motionless and understand that things are coming at them, and that has allowed them to grow and become old. They aren't running away from problems. So I really like that haiku, but you gotta work a little bit. Even so, once you understand it, it's clear. Okay, yeah, yeah, I know what they're getting at. All right. Um, Now, let's talk about voice, character, and mood of the piece. It has to fit the piece you're writing, of course. You wouldn't have some fish metaphor in the middle of a gangster scene unless I don't know what. The koi has something to do with your story. But anyway, so it needs to fit the voice of the piece you're writing, work within the character, and if you're doing a silly character, you could do a mixed metaphor, and of course the mood of the piece. So let's look at voice. A favorite one from The Great Gatsby is this metaphor. Her voice is full of money. That's very appropriate, said by Nick Carraway. Um, a a woman raised on a farm, living on a farm all her life, would not make the same kind of metaphor as a Manhattan socialite. So you need to think about the voice of the character and how it's coming out. Another favorite one is, if I can read my own writing here, This is in a children's novel by M.T. Anderson, and it has a cranky old uncle in it and two boys who are trying to solve some mysteries through. And the uncle's hoping that his nephew, it's a nephew and his friend, that his nephew will get some gumption and go out on his own. And so he says, "Bravo, boy. About time you struck out on your own instead of sticking to your friend like a tapeworm in a dowager's belly." Yuck. A tapeworm in a dowager's belly. But it fits the voice of that cranky, bizarre uncle perfectly. So you're going to look at at the voice before you decide what kind of metaphor you're going to use. And character needs to elucidate the character. I mean, certainly her voice is full of money, does that as well. But here's a funny one from Archie Bunker, which certainly speaks to his zaniness. He said in one of the shows, "We better not, kill our chickens before they cross the road." You go, okay. So this was typical Archie Bunker. He was always combining these kind of crazy things. So if it enhances the character, then great, wonderful. Mood of the piece. And I'm going to read one of my all-time favorite metaphors for you. Um, this one fits perfectly in the mood of the piece. It's from Matt Groening's Big Book of Hell. Now, Matt Groening, I think I'm saying his last name correctly. Matt Groening is a cartoonist, and he's the guy who created The Simpsons and a bunch of other very zany, crazy things. So he has this Big Book of Hell, which has all kind of funny things in it. But here's one of the metaphors that I love from that book. Love is a snowmobile racing across the tundra, and then suddenly it flips over, pinning you underneath, and at night the ice weasels come. Isn't that great? Here's love. You're riding in a snowmobile out in this beautiful, pristine, snowy landscape. Everything's clean and sparkly and gorgeous, and you're in love, and everything's going, and all of a sudden, wham, something happens, and the snowmobile flips over and pins you underneath. Something unexpected happened in that love. And then at night, the ice weasels come. Now, who the heck knows what an ice weasel is? But at night when you've broken up with somebody, these things come in and they eat at your brain and they drive you crazy. And you're trying to figure out what you did wrong or what the other person did wrong or what the heck is going on. And your brain just gets eaten with all these thoughts. So I think the metaphor works beautifully. It's original, it's quickly understood, and it certainly fit the mood of Matt's book. So those are the kind of things we want to look at when we want to make sure that our metaphors are fitting. Now, if you've got a scratch piece of paper, um, or just, think about it for a minute. I want you to look at these. These are unfinished metaphors and similes. And I'm going to come back to the whole group. And I may call in like 2 or 3 people just to tell me how you would finish these. Okay. So for an extended metaphor, we've got the metaphor. Memories are bullets. A equals B. But we want a line or two about why you think memories might be bullets. You jot that down. It's direct metaphor. Their locked hands, how would you finish that? And I'll tell you how John Updike finished it. Their locked hands, something. And then simile, this is from a poem by Carolyn Forche. The baled wheat scattered everywhere like, okay, so just take a minute and jot that down. I'm going to come back to all of you so I can see you. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, who would like let's take the baled wheat first. Anybody have something for the baled wheat? Raise your hand if you do. I'm trying to flip through the screens here so I can see who might have a hand raised. Anybody? Oh, I don't see any hand raises. Okay, there's Susan. Unmute, Susan.
Sure. The baled wheat scattered everywhere, like pickup sticks after an abandoned game.
Hmm. Okay, I'll tell you what Carolyn Forshade said about it in just a minute. Anybody else want to try that? The baled wheat scattered everywhere like. Okay, Susan Twigs.
Okay, this is going to go in my novel. The baled wheat scattered everywhere, like Jews
Like
after
what?
World War. Excuse me, like Jews after World War II.
Oh, like Jews after World War II. Oh my gosh. Oh, hit my heart. Actually, I'm going to tell you what Carolyn Forshade said because that is fairly close. She says, the baled wheat scattered everywhere like missing coffins. A beautiful original, and it hits to the heart. Okay, how about the metaphor about their locked hands? Anybody got any idea what locked hands could equate to? Anybody want to try that? Let me see if I'm trying to flip through the pictures. I may not see all of you. I'm flipping through. No? Don't see any hands up. Okay, I will tell you what John Updike says. They're locked hands. Got it right here. They're locked hands, a starfish leaping through the dark. And you can kind of see that, with the hands coming up together, starfish leaping through the dark. Now, the extended metaphor is one I particularly like, but let's see. Anybody have an idea about why memories are like bullets? Anybody want to give that a go? Okay, Nicole.
Sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand for pretend. Um, memories are like bullets shattering holes in our hearts.
Ooh, nice, nice.
Can I
Anybody
have
else
one?
want to try?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. I see.
It's Gloria.
Who is it? Gloria? Okay, Gloria, go ahead.
I'll give it a go. Memories are bullets fired on cranium walls.
Oh, fired on cranium walls. Oh, lovely. Fred, I saw your hand up. Get on mute, Fred.
I did. Memories are bullets lodged in our hearts. Some hurt.
Okay, okay. So several of you had that heart thing going on, and then the cranium. Wow. Okay, let me tell you what Richard Kadrey had written. He says, memories are bullets. Some whiz by and only spook you. Others tear you open and leave you in pieces. Lovely. Just a very original and, it gets right to the heart. So great. Okay, guys, let's go on. Let me see if I can get the next one. There we are. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a whole poem here that uses similes and metaphors. This is one of my favorites. And if I get teared up, I always get teared up when I read this poem. It's called A Dandelion for My Mother. How I loved those spiky suns, rooted stubborn as childhood in the grass, tough as the farmer's big-headed children, the mats of yellow hair, the bowl-cut fringe. How sturdy they were, and how slowly they turned themselves into galaxies, domes of ghost stars, barely visible by day, pale cerebrums clinging to life on tough green stems, like you in the end. If you were here, I'd pluck this trembling globe to show how beautiful a thing can be a breath will tear away. So it gets to me. My mother died of cancer, but I love the similes and the metaphors that are just sprinkled through this whole thing, this extended poem that uses those. So let's look at some of those. Spiky suns. So that's direct metaphor. The dandelion is a spiky sun. Stubborn as childhood, a beautiful simile. Tough as the farmer's big-headed children. We got the word as, another simile. Mats of yellow hair, the bowl-cut fringe. I have a picture of my mom with this bowl-cut hair and the bangs straight across. So another beautiful metaphor. And then galaxies. And doesn't that look like a round ball of stars, a galaxy, the dandelion when it's gone to seed? Galaxies, domes of ghost stars, pale cerebrums like you, a trembling globe. So my gosh, all the way through that whole thing, rather than taking one um, kind of one metaphor, the way Alan Dugan did with his poem on building the house, she's sprinkled this whole poem with beautiful similes and metaphors and looking at a dandelion from different perspectives. So just one of my favorites I thought I'd share. Okay, let me see what time it is. Oh, we're doing great. We got time to write and time to share. I wasn't sure. I kind of went quickly through some things. So let's get something to write with. And what I'd like you to do is to take one of these abstractions. Fred, you may have done this before in my Friday Folly group, but um, take one of these abstractions, anxiety, faith, jealousy, remorse, marriage, raising children, and try to compare it if you can to one of the pictures that I've got there. I've got the bottle with the message in it, the abandoned bicycle, the tree. Can you find a comparison now, either similes or metaphor? Remember, metaphor doesn't use like or as. A simile uses like or as. And you can extend that. So let's write for a few minutes. Take your metaphor, extend it, go deeper into it. And then we'll share a little bit and see what you came up with, okay? So let's write, what time is it? 12:37. Let's write for about, oh, I don't know, 8 minutes to 12:45. And then we can share for about 10 minutes before we're done. So about 8 minutes. I know it's not a lot of time, but it'll get you started. About 2 more minutes. Okay, so let's finish up. I know you may not have anything to do complete unless you're writing haiku or something like that, but I'm going to go, hopefully I can see all of you. There we are. Okay. All right. And you can unmute if you want. We will do some sharing. Anybody like to share what you've got? It may not be complete. Okay, I see Fred's hand up. If you don't know how to do the little hand thing at the bottom, just raise your hand and I'll try to look across the screens. At least it's a start, right? So let's see what we got. Fred, what you got? You got to unmute.
Okay, the prompt or whatever it is I took was faith and the bottle with the message in it.
Okay.
Okay, so out on the open sea, the message tightly corked in a bottle like common table wine, believing one day it will be shared with strangers.
Oh, nice. I like that. And faith is the title. It kind of grounds the whole thing so we know what we're talking about. Okay, I'm going to pick somebody from the second screen here. Raise your hand or do a little, anybody? Who else would like to share? Okay. All right, I see Gloria. Gloria, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hello, I went with anxiety. It's very short. Anxiety. A bird stuck on barbed wire, singing, going nowhere.
Ah, nice. Okay. A bird stuck on barbed wire. You know, I almost would leave it there.
Uh-huh.
Because one of the things I often get accused of shutta-ing a poem, which means asking people to cut their last line or their last 2 lines. Because one of the things I strongly believe in is letting your reader take away what they need from the poem in relation to their own life and their own experience. So we don't tell them, we don't conclude, we don't have a conclusion to a poem that this means this. And when you leave on an image, a strong image, that's just, they often talk about you need, $100 words to start a piece of writing, but I really think you need $1,000 words to end it because that's what they walk away with. And if you can end on a strong image, boom, and let your reader then take from it what they need, it's a poem that they will take into themselves and remember much longer. So great, thank you. Anybody else want to share?
Shutta, you have 3 people with their hands up.
Okay, I can't see that. Where are we? Oh, I see. Okay. Pagan Titlebaum? Oh, Ilana. Ileana, sorry, I'm trying to read the thing down below. Okay, go ahead, Ileana.
Raising beloved children, two seedlings stretching roots deep into my soul, extending their flowerful bodies into sunny winds, growing strong to withstand stormy nights, kissed by the earth, the rain, the sun, and the moon, loved by the birds, the bees, the light of living siblings. My heart once sustained you. You now sustain my heart. When I give you to the world, I sigh.
Ah, oh, taking the tree and raising children. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Who else has a hand raised that I can't see in the little, oh, Chris. And then Marla. I see Chris and Marla. Okay, Chris, go ahead. Get out. Yeah, you're unmuted. All right.
Jealousy needs no planting, but lies dormant, waiting a chance to sprout, green shoots wreaking havoc, bindweed that roots and drains life and joy from all that flourished, creeps into corners of contentment, green fingers probing, questioning not with words but vile intent, eats away at past certainties, and uproots possibilities of new beginnings.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, using jealousy with the tree, and I like the uprooting. Yeah. Yeah, I like how you extended that whole thing. You stuck with it. You extended the whole thing. Very good. Marla, what you got?
I've got a little haiku. Sailing through oceans, love letter in a bottle makes its way to me.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I'm wondering if, again, I'm wondering about sailing through the ocean, making its way to me, if you could end on the love letter in the bottle.
Ah,
Again, end on that strong image. Somehow
okay.
rearrange the lines just a little bit and end on that image.
Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Ruth, anybody else with a hand up I can't see?
No.
Okay. All right. Oh, Susan. I see Susan Twigs is raising a hand. Okay, Susan, go ahead.
Okay. My jealousy devours me. It's pure injustice. Leopold towers over me, and I a toadstool at the oak's base, erect and stretching upward.
I love that from the perspective of the
Love that.
toadstool and
Ah,
this tree reaching up over and being jealous. What a wonderful idea to take it and to take the point of view from the toadstool. Very fun. Okay, guys.
great.
Well, I think that's about it for today. I have just a couple more slides to share. And thank you all for coming, for participating, and all of that. I'm going to get you down in a smaller view so I can see my slides again. Takes me just a minute to figure this out all the time. Okay, here we go. All right. Some of the photographs I've used here are the photographers from Unsplash. These are the covers of my 3 books of poetry, which are all available at Amazon, or you can go to the publisher, which is Kelsey Books. How to get a hold of me, there's the info in the top right corner. If you're interested, I do, as Ruth mentioned, publish something called the Wordsmiths Playground. It's a monthly newsletter. I'll be putting out April's sometime later this week. In it, I reference one of my writing articles. I have a lot of published writing articles in educational journals and for Florida State Poetry Association and Florida Writers Association, etc. So I link to an article. I give a monthly prompt. I sometimes there's a freebie, a poem, or a handout from one of my workshops, and I also talk about book covers because that's so important. When people are browsing a bookstore and they pick up a book, that's the first thing you look at is the cover, right? No hard sells or anything. But if you want to subscribe, just go to my website at shutta.com and you'll see a link there for subscribing. Okay, if you've got a moment and you've got your phone in your hand, Open hand, would love to have some feedback on the workshop. I always appreciate it as well, so that maybe, who knows, maybe they'll hire me again next year. So take a moment to do that if you've got your phones out. I can come back to this, but I do want to show you some of the sponsors for this whole month, this Jack's Poetry Fest. Okay, all right. I think that's it, guys.
Didn't work.
I'm gonna stop my, oh, it didn't work? You tried to do it? Somebody
Right.
tried to do the,
It's a suit. No, wait. Oh, there, it came. It finally
okay,
came.
good.
Just
Okay,
takes a
all right.
minute.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I'll stop the share. Okay, there we are. Thanks, everybody. Where's Ruth? Where's my,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and check
Oh,
the schedule for the next workshop, which
oh, that's right. I'm doing one on, I forgot to mention, I'm doing a workshop on narrative poetry next Monday, and it's a brand new workshop for me. I've never done one on narrative.
and
So,
we have a workshop on Saturday, and so thank you for coming.
okay, guys. Toodaloo.